Hello, my name is Melissa Henry, and I am a graduate student of the University of the District of Columbia. My area of study is speech-language pathology. Today, I am going to introduce the communication board system and the visual schedule system, which are appropriate for children with autism who have low language skills. My goal is to provide you with the knowledge on how to implement these systems into your classrooms and to train you on how to use them. In using this system, it will help to establish a communication system for those with low language skills between you and your student and help them also to gain some sort of independence. First things first, we will review the visual schedule. In an article entitled Designing Optimal Learning Environments for Children with Developmental Disabilities, Autism, or Other Behavioral Challenges by Vicki Turner and Carol Spears, who are two speech-language pathologists, their article says that a structured, organized classroom and living environments may assist children with developmental disabilities, autism spectrum disorders, behavioral problems, or any other behaviors that adversely affects learning, socializing, or communicating. This type of classroom is effective in helping children answer 5 important questions. 1. Where do I need to be? 2. What do I need to do? 3. How much do I need to do? 4. When will I be finished? And 5. What comes next? If you are a teacher in a classroom with most typically developing children, but have 1 or 2 who display developmental disabilities such as autism, one strategy that may work in answering these 5 questions is to develop a daily schedule. This schedule in a preschool setting may include things like free play, circle time, art, lunch, toothbrushing, diaper change, nap time, playground, etc. The best way to design the schedule is to use pictures for each activity. Lori Frost, a speech-language pathologist, and Andy Bondi, a doctor, wrote a book called PECS. Here is the PECS book. PECS stands for Picture Exchange Communication System. On page 268, they go over what is called a visual schedule. In this section, they recommend that this system be used once your child is able to follow 6 to 8 visual directions when individually presented. For example, you may present a picture of the Play-Doh symbol, and the child will learn that when they see the symbol for Play-Doh, they are to go to the Play-Doh station. You can use any other pictures that will incorporate whatever you're doing in the classroom, like circle time, nap time, playground time, and you have a picture of it. And your child should be able to know what that picture represents. And according to the PECS book, once they can learn at least up to 8 of these pictures, then it will be appropriate to use the visual schedule. The next step would be to combine these pictures vertically because vertical discrimination is developmentally acquired before left-right sequencing. The purpose of teaching a student to follow a schedule is for him or her to learn to transition independently from activity to activity across the day. This schedule will help answer the 5 questions I mentioned earlier. Where do I need to be? What do I need to do? How much do I need to do? When will I be finished? And what comes next? The best way to implement this system is to teach the child that as soon as they arrive to school, they should immediately go to their schedule board to find the first activity. They should participate in that activity and then independently return to the schedule to find what's next. This, of course, will happen through a lot of training with the child. In order for independence to develop, we must teach the student how to sequence the steps involved in the schedule. Because the student is not likely to respond to verbal prompts about these steps, for example, take the picture off the top of the schedule, we use physical prompts to teach this skill. A type of physical prompt would be hand-over-hand assistance. This can be done by bringing the child over to the schedule, which may be on the wall at a position within their reach, or in a particular area of the room that is accessible to the child. The teacher will then put their hand over the child's hand and use it to remove the picture and take that child to the area where the first activity will be held. When the time for the activity has ended, the teacher will take the child's hand once again and pick up the picture and bring the child back over to the schedule and place the picture in the finished box. They will then move on to the second activity to the schedule by taking the child's hand once again to remove the second picture and head over to the second desired area for the activity. This will go on throughout the day in the same pattern. This will also help stimulate language because as the teacher is labeling the activities on the schedule board, the children are able to place a visual with the target word. I'm going to now show you an example from the textbook of what this visual schedule may look like. Okay, here is the visual schedule. Now, as it may seem that one is missing, the first one says circle. So as the child comes in, they will go to their visual schedule and they will see that the first thing on there says circle. So they will take off the picture for circle and they will head to circle time, which is usually somewhere in the room on the carpet. The child will take the picture with them until circle time is over. Once circle time has ended, the child will get up and go back to the visual schedule and place the picture of circle time in the finished box. Then they will move on to the second activity, which says puzzles, and they will go to the area where puzzles are and go and do that activity. Once that activity is over, they will come back and put that picture in the finished box. Then they will move on to the third activity. And the pattern will go on as such until all the items on the schedule board are complete. Here's an example of a schedule board that I am currently using with my client who has autism. Here we have bubbles, Play-Doh, and here's a picture of toys that are in a bucket, and here's another picture of a ball activity with an elephant where he used to put the balls in the mouth of the elephant, and then all done. This is how my child will know that all the activities are complete. And instead of using a finished box, I use an envelope that will cue my child when the item is done. Instead of putting it in a finished box, we have the envelope there and that item will go into the envelope and they move on to picking the second picture. The easiest way to use these pictures on something that you can reuse is to use Velcro strips. These Velcro strips, and on the back is the soft part, they can be used You can buy them at any office store or a drugstore or any arts and crafts store. Any ways to find pictures can be easily drawn. This picture I drew by hand. This was a picture demonstrating a Play-Doh activity that we were using where they were to pat the Play-Doh. So I drew a picture of a hand and the Play-Doh. So you can easily make pictures for your schedule board by drawing them, or you can take pictures, use a camera, and take pictures of what the activity will be. This is a picture I took with my camera of the items in a jar that I had, and this was for a requesting activity. I wanted my child to request for the items that were in the jar. And another way you can find pictures is to go online. This isn't something I drew, this is something that I found online. And there are a few helpful websites where you can find things like these to add onto your schedule board. Here are some websites. The first website is autismshop.com. Autismshop.com sells their pictures where you can buy, and you can get them by category or age. They have them grouped in different ways. Another website is schedules.com. That's schkidules.com, where you can also make your own schedule board online. They help you pick pictures from what they have offered online, and you can put your schedule together on that website, and they can have it sent to you, which of course you would have to pay for. Another website which I like to use is do2learn.com. That's do, the number 2, learn.com. This website I like because you can use their pictures for free, and you can easily print them at home, cut them out, and make your own visual schedule. And my next website that I like is speakingofspeech.com. This one is also good because you can use your own pictures from their website and print it off from home. You do not have to pay for them. They're nice, they're bright, they're colorful, and it's very easy to use. And they have so many to choose from. They have so many activities. It's very, very easy. So this is one that I got from speakingofspeech.com. And the best way to preserve these pictures, these are nice and durable, is to laminate them. I have my own laminator, so I laminate my pictures because children at this age, they don't really know how to take care of things, so you can use something that'll keep your pictures nice and sturdy. So you can get these pictures online, and you can get the Velcro strips here that you can easily put on and remove and reuse again and again. Now that we've discussed the visual schedule, I'm going to briefly describe the communication boards. Communication boards may be the first thing you may want to use to implement before you do your visual schedule. This is so that you will be able to have the children familiar with using and following pictures. But I must add that it is important to introduce these pictures one at a time. You can't just have a whole board filled with pictures and expect that your child is going to know what each picture is. They're going to have to get practice with these pictures one by one. So make sure before you design your board, you're using these pictures as practice just one at a time, so when the child sees them on a board together, they are able to know which is which. Going back to the first article I mentioned, the authors discuss another system called Augmentative Alternative Communication, also known as AAC. This is a symbolic language system that offers consistent, simple to understand options for communicating when an individual has a limitation in the expression of message.